over a month ago, the government of Botswana adjusted the value of the national currency, which is the Pula, this in response to growing economic pressures. The currency devaluation came amid a slump in diamond export revenue, Botswana's primary source of foreign exchange. The global downturn in diamond sales has heightened pressure on the Pula, which the government has been supporting through reserves. Now, at the time, the country's Minister of Finance, Ndaba Gaolathe, cautioned businesses not to exploit the currency adjustment to raise prices unnecessarily. To find out what the impact of the Pula devaluation has been on ordinary citizens, we joined this afternoon by our correspondent in Botswana, Shingirai Madondo. Very good afternoon to you, Shingirai.
How are you, Thami? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to have you with us once again. So, Shingirai, when the devaluation of the Pula was announced, there were concerns that this might push up the cost of living in the country. How have the Botswana reacted to this decision, and has it indeed done exactly that, push up the cost of living in Botswana?
Thank you very much, Thami, and a very good afternoon to Channel Africa listeners. The life in Botswana for the past 3 weeks or so has been somewhat unbearable for many, especially the consumers who survive on hand-to-mouth here. Looking at the fact that the devaluation of the Pula was done without much consultation, and what happened is the business Botswana, which is an aspect body that represents the business community here in Botswana, decided to actually oppose the government and say this is not what should be done, because most of the products that are consumed in Botswana are actually sold outside Botswana, and that means then that the power or the value of the Pula that has been the original one before the devaluation was enough to cushion the people, but the government decided otherwise, saying it is the right way to go, looking at the fact that they want to be at par, and they're saying the power, the Pula rather, which is the Botswana currency, was overvalued.
There have been reports on social media and certain pictures as well that have been making the rounds. And these posts show notices coming out of some supermarkets in Botswana informing customers that prices could go up at a moment's notice. So really cautioning, consumers to be aware that any moment the prices might change. Could you tell us more about this? Has this indeed been the reality? And how is the government monitoring this to ensure indeed that citizens are not taken advantage of, as you mentioned, the value of the Pula and the pricing was already cushioned in to the valuation?
Thank you very much. What happened with the retailers is that they actually gave notices after actually having taken the solution, or after having taken the decision to putting the additional prices into action, looking at the fact that a 12.5 or 10 kg of sugar has been costing between 80 Pula to 120 Pula. But now, the price of the same product is now ranging between 160 Pula to 220 Pula. And looking at the fact that when the Minister of Finance, who is also the Vice President, Ndaba Gaolathe, had cautioned the business community not to actually price up or to put a price hike into most of the products, looking at the fact that they were saying the Pula was overvalued. But the business community actually represented by Business Botswana, which is act as an apex body of the private sector or the Chamber of Commerce here, actually argued and say there is no way the Pula was overvalued, because most of these businesses actually bring their goods and services from outside the borders of Botswana. That is why the overvalue was cushioning the Pula, if that is where they want to do it. But they continue to say this is what is happening. And now, like I give an example of 12.5 kg of sugar while it's now ranging. And most of the people here survive through manual jobs as well as the labor intensive, what they call it, which actually pays a minimum wage of about 1,000 Pula. And if you are now just buying such kind of a product with extra 200 Pula, most of the people are actually crying foul here and say the government has made life very difficult for them. But intervene, the business community through business return, they're saying there is no way they can actually put the prices down. What they can only do is to hide the price at the moment until the prices have gone down. Looking at the fact that they are saying they have to get goods from South Africa, to be specific, because most of the products that are consumed in Botswana actually come from South Africa, and they're saying there is some sort of transport implication, fewer hikes, and all these are taken into consideration to make sure that they can survive or their business remain afloat.
If you could, Shingirai, just put this into perspective and context for us. I mean, we understand that within a week of this devaluation having taken place, the Pula had once again bounced back to the rates before the devaluation. How much was the Pula to the rand, let's say on the 1st of July, compared to today?
Before the devaluation, the rand to a Pula exchange rate was ranging between almost 1 Pula to 1 rand 80 cents or 1 rand 50 cents. But soon after the devaluation, the Pula and the rand is almost at the same rate, and now it is between one Pula as to 1 rand 20 cents or 1 rand 30 cents. And in exchange or in comparison to the US dollar, this is a marginalized increase that most of the people were so surprised, because $1 was costing between about 12 Pula, between 12 Pula and 13 Pula. But soon after the devaluation, we saw the rand, the Pula to US dollar exchange rate jumping to $1 against 14 Pula 50 to 15 Pula, which is most of the people are saying this is a sign of the fact that what the business community has been arguing to say the Pula is not overvalued is very true. That is why the exchange rate really is no much more difference between a rand and a Pula. So this is what is happening. Tomorrow we are going to have the business community or the Retailers Association of Botswana will be meeting tomorrow to deliberate much in terms of, because they think the price as we speak right now, they are not enough. So they are going to deliberate on these issues tomorrow to see at how much percentage are they going to increase further to actually cushion or to make sure that their business remain afloat.
Shingirai Madondo, we thank you so much for that update coming out of Botswana, the impact of the devaluation of the Pula and how that has affected business as well as consumers. But, in as much as you look at the numbers, and there really isn't much of a variance, and you can see the numbers really having bounced back as far as the value of the Pula to the rand and even the US dollar. But what remains is that the prices have already been increased. And so consumers are in a position where they are paying more for the goods that they are purchasing. We'll keep abreast of the developments coming out of Botswana with Shingirai Madondo. It is exactly 4:48 Central African Time.